ever feel like you want to read a book, but you just haven't got the time these days? Or you've got zero patience? Yeah, that's me. If only there were an app that could solve this. Oh wait, there is. It's called Blinkist. Blinkist is a magical app solution which comes straight from the time-saving gods themselves. It's an awesome place where you can read literally whatever you want, but instead of reading the whole book, Blinkist takes out all of the important information from that book you've always wanted to read into 15 minutes of text and audio explainers called Blinks. So instead of trying to read as fast as humanly possible all the time, you can now fit reading into your life and become an intellectual within 15 minutes. I'd say I'm half always busy all the time, topped up with half not having the patience to sit down and read all the things I want to. So Blinkist is the new solution to solve this lifelong dilemma of mine. From thousands of titles, you can use Blinks to learn about all the topics you're interested in, like personal growth, history, science, whatever you like, to further your knowledge and help you take the quick and easy path to learning. It currently has 14 million active users, and you can also be among them. The first 100 people to go to www.blinkist.com/FredsVoice are going to get unlimited access for 1 week to try it out. You'll also get 25% off if you want the full membership. Also, the 7-day trial is completely free and you could cancel at any time during that period, so check it out. Links in my description. So thank you Blinkist for sponsoring tonight's ASMR video. We hope you enjoy. Hello there. Another Thor variant. I see. They're getting stranger all the time. You don't even look like a Thor. You look completely different. I noticed that you are carrying Mjolnir there. May I? Well, at least we know that it's a real one, so it must be worthy. You must have a very, very odd timeline. You look so rough around the edges. You don't look like me whatsoever. I mean, where's your looks? Well, this is my place here. This is the penthouse suite where it's always raining outside and the weather is suited for Thors. This is the land of Thor, where all the Thors reside. I take it that you probably got pruned as well, didn't you? Yes, of course, and you are of course the one and only Thor, are you not? Yes, heard it all before. It just so happens that I was the first Thor to arrive here. I am the only one who wields Stormbreaker. No one else has it. We have about 1,000 Mjolnirs, and yeah, so many and different Thor variants. There's Infinity Stones here as well. You know, all that stuff. So the question remains, how do we know that you are actually a Thor? You could be a Loki, you could be trickless or with illusion here at the moment. Yeah, so we can determine this and what kind of Thor you are with just a simple, very simple questions, personal questions. I'm going to ask you some personal questions, okay? This place where you're at the moment so happens to be the area where all of the Thors tend to drop or just appear. Okay, so no doubt you were in a glorious battle, winning everything, and then you decided to prune yourself. We've all been there, yeah. No one prunes a Thor. Thor prunes himself just because it's to make a heroic exit. Thor, so yeah, so they all come down about here. So we have this little thing set up at the moment where I can ask you the questions and I can write down your answers. Everything is locked here on the land of Thor. Okay, so we have no right or wrong answer with the personal questions. There's plenty of questions there for you which we'll delve into very shortly. But with no right and right answer, there is a more Thor answer. And those answers go about here. then there's more, shall we say, a not quite so Thor answer, right? More of a Loki style answer, and those answers sort of get typed about here, just over here. So we have the more Thor side of answers, depending on what you're going to answer, and then more Loki, not so Thor answers here. So there's, like I said, no right or wrong thing here, just a list of personal questions which I can ask you. Okay, so I have to keep Stormbreaker here with me because you don't know when there's going to be another Thor that turns up with the Stormbreaker. And of course, that's the point. We have a little bit of a problem. Right, you bought another Mjolnir, so you can do whatever you want with that. Here, I'd just like to inform you that Mjolnir doesn't tend to work as well as it used to. Okay, with all the bad weather here, there's so many Thors using thunder that the power's sort of reduced. And there's also a horrible, massive monster which is chasing us to one, trying to hunt us down all the time, but that's nothing to worry about or talk about at the moment. Here we can just ask you the personal questions that we want to find out. So just get a little bit relaxed there. Let me just set this up just very quickly. Some things which I wrote out, which I thought would be suitable for you. Not you, but suitable for a Thor. And what are the answers which a Thor would like to have answered? Okay, so very simple. Are you feeling comfortable? Are you feeling confident with yourself? Well, no need to overthink this at all. The first thing that comes to your head, it's just a quick fire round of questions. But then again, take your time. So be quick about it, but don't be too quick. But take your time, but don't take too long. And we shall get through this perfectly, and we can get you and show you around the land of Thor here. Hope you brought your umbrella. Right. Let us begin. There's another time. Right. You ready? Don't mind me. I'm just looking. It's very interesting that you would call yourself Thor too. When I am Thor, I mean, there's people that look a little bit like me which have been turning up, but you are nothing like me. But you probably think a little bit like me, and that's what these personal questions are going to determine. Right. Just before we begin, what part of the timeline were you plucked out of? It tends to be everyone on Earth. At what point? Mine was. Yeah, we were Thanos, that you've not seen yet. You've heard him, right? So we're a little bit further down than you are. So I saw Thanos, and I went for the head. And then all of a sudden, I was taken to some weird place somewhere else. This guy kept saying, "Wow, wow," all the time. Anything I said, "Wow." I said, I thought, the God of Thunder, I don't belong here. All he would say is, "Wow, that's so cool." God, the God of Thunder. I don't belong here. I am a god. So what am I doing in this place? And all they'd be like, "Wow, the God of Thunder. That's so cool. I mean, we got loads of gods of thunder," and it just kept acting a little bit like that. A little bit of a strange man. Eventually, I tried to escape. In fact, I did escape, but my escape was so good and so brilliant. There was about 1,000 of them against me, and they had weapons which can take and disintegrate people, so I thought. So when I thought all hope was lost and I couldn't find anything, then I could buy their weapons, and I put myself, and one of them definitely didn't do it to me whatsoever. So I was brought here, and we're still trying to work out what here is. Hopefully you can help. We'll get to that at the end, but hopefully your answers will determine whether you are Thor or how Thor-like you are. And if you think like a Thor, get yourself ready. Okay, question number 1. What do you think makes a good leader? You was looking for that answer, didn't you? Okay. Do you think money is important? What makes you the happiest? If you could be invisible invisible, what would you do? Oh, really? Interesting. Who was your first ever crush? What was the most surprising fact you learned about yourself? Okay, it's quite interesting. What are you afraid of? Really? I see. What is your personal philosophy in life? Yeah, well, that's very Thor. Very, very Thor. What do you think your role is in this world? This world of Thor? Oh, we've already got a leader here, I'm afraid, to rule, just like I would rule Asgard. There's only room for one Thor here. What's the best Wi-Fi name you've ever heard of? That's a good one. How many days have you worn something in a row? That's nothing. How long do you think you'll survive a zombie apocalypse? That's not long at all. Not long at all. That's the funniest memory you have. That's pretty funny. I'm writing that one down. That's pretty funny. I have a very similar memory to that. Have you ever tried talking to your dog? Well, you must. You've got to believe that they can hear you and understand you. What's the funniest joke you know? Well, yeah, tell me. Not funny. What do you believe is true about human nature? Pretty weak. Yeah. Okay. What's the last enjoyable thing you've done for yourself? Well, that sounds pretty enjoyable. It's that often. Right. When it comes to your work life, how much is due to your hard work and how much is due to the environment? Not a team player. Not a team player there. We need a lot of team players here for land. Okay. What nickname would you give yourself? Of course, you've got a thunder or something like that. Yeah, that's a good one. That's very Thor. Do you sleep with the lights on or off? Who is your hero? You can have a few seconds if you wish. Doctor Strange is not a hero. What is the best and worst advice you have ever received? So tell me your best advice that you've ever received. That's not great advice. Now what's the worst advice you've ever received? That's pretty funny. We are through our first selection here. How are you finding it? Some Thors find it a little bit difficult. You could really determine a Thor when you see one. Yours is a little bit, yeah. Next question. Where is the best place in the world you've ever been? It's quite nice there. It's quite nice. What are you most proud of? Yeah, I know it's a little bit difficult. That will suffice. That will suffice. What's your favorite smell? I like the smell of that too. Have you ever tried to move something with your mind. Where is there room for improvement in your life? Okay. What do you think is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen or experienced? That does sound quite beautiful. Experience. I don't know if that's what I'd call experience, but that's some sort of half and half there. What do you think makes a great leader? Well, of course, that's a very Thor answer. I mean, look at me. Highest marks for that. What is the biggest decision you've ever had to make? That's not that big. But that does sound actually, that's quite big. That's quite big. Who's your favorite Disney princess? These are just Thor questions. Who's your favorite Disney princess? Okay. Okay. Personally, Thor likes Little Mermaid. Or Belle. What did you have for breakfast? Not too hearty then, not too hearty. Favorite Disney character? You knew that one pretty quick. Do you drink or eat soup? Drink it. That's for the confusion. What's unfair in your life? Right here, right now. That's pretty unfair. Who's your least favorite friend? What has impacted you the most in your life? Character defining, shall we say? What website do you binge? Not a noob master, are you? Do you have a crush on any of your friends? Crushes are good. How many? Does listening to music affect you, and why? No, okay, yeah. What does your daily routine look like? No, don't tell me about your daily routine. What does your daily routine look like? What does it look like? It looks like a potato. How do you spend your weekend? That's quite a thought. What secret conspiracy would you like to actually be true? Any conspiracy. Could be anything. What would you like to turn out to be true? What were the best experiences and events that have happened to you in the last 12 months? Apart from being here, of course. That's happened to you in the last 12 months. Yeah. 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 What are you most passionate about? Yeah, that's pretty passionate. What makes you different from others? How do you feel about your age? How much gold coin do you have in your bank account? That's not enough. Success. How would you define it? What would be the creepiest thing you could say to a stranger when passing them on the street? Do you want to be famous? What was one of the best parties you've ever been to? Tell me about it, but very quickly. What was the best party that you've ever been to? That sounds like a good party, but I've been to better. What are you most thankful for? Oh, Jerry. What else? What is the biggest decision you've had to make? Biggest decision you've ever had to make? What has impacted you the most? Does listening to music affect you? Yeah, I know. But what is your favourite song? It's not my favourite song. How many hours sleep did you get last night? Truthfully, how many hours? 2? Yeah, that's really good. What do you like? Personal questions. Do you have to change the colour of your hair? If you had to change the colour of your hair, what would you change it to? I like that colour. How many friends do you have? Don't have any friends yet. Me too. What size underwear do you wear? What do you want to look like? Anything. What do you miss most about being a kid? What do you think is most important for happiness in life? The most important thing that you could think of for happiness in life? Sentimental, touching. Not far enough. How do you want to spend your weekend? This weekend? That sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Would you go to space? Do you have a security system in your house? Do you sleepwalk? How do you know? That is the question. How do you know? What was the last movie that you saw? The last movie that you saw? Could be the cinema, could be at home, whatever, out with friends. Not many great movies at the moment. What superpower would you choose? Any superpower. Could be anything. Think, what would you choose? What would you like? You could do anything with a superpower. What would you choose? What type of underwear are you wearing? Just the questions. Just the questions. What was the worst movie you saw? I agree with you on that. If you were a movie character, who would you be? Movie character, who would you be? How much do you weigh? I know it's personal. How much do you weigh? If you could create anything, what would you create? Anything, matter. what is something that is really popular now, but in 5 years you will look back and be embarrassed by it? 5 years time, what would you be embarrassed by? An item of clothing, anything like that, something you've personally done in your life, memory in something. Yeah. What is your mother's maiden name? What makes you different from others? Anything. Could be absolutely anything. What makes you different from others? How does it feel to be your age? In terms of appearance, which actor do you believe most closely resembles you? Any actor in a movie you've seen, who do you think closely resembles you? Your appearance. If you were going to play that character, who would you play? Yeah. Got there eventually. If you could make a movie real, what would it be? What would it be? How would you define success? What is the difference between ordinary and extraordinary? How would you describe your personality? Moribund is a good one. If you could tell your best friend something they don't know about you, what would it be? Yeah. Okay. If you were to die in an epic movie, what would your last words be? That's pretty epic. I hope you get cast in that film. What do you hope to accomplish in the future? If you look back at yourself now, in 5 years' time, what would you like to have accomplished by then? How's your relationship with the person closest to you in your life? How many crushes have you got? What do you hope to accomplish in the future? I know it's similar, I know, but what do you hope to accomplish? Do you prefer sandwiches or roast dinners? When was the last time you ate food? When was the last time you drank a beer? When was your first date? First ever date? If you could wear any hat from a movie in real life without anyone laughing at you, what hat would you want to wear? From any movie it becomes normal in society, what hat would you like to wear? Okay. Nobody wants a Loki style hat. No one wants that. No one likes those horns. If I was to give you something right now that would make you happy, what would it be? How much money do you have on you right now? How many bedrooms would you like your next house to have? When was the first time you drove a car? When was the last time you drove a car? If you could jump off a cliff and land on your feet perfectly fine, what cliff would you jump off? makes you unhappy? How many cups of coffee can you drink in an hour? What's your favorite item of clothing? How many items of that clothing do you have? If you can add a new room to your place of occupation, what room would you add? Absolutely anything. That's pretty good. I'd like one of those rooms for myself. If you bumped into someone, who would you like to bump into? If you can go back in time, who would you like to meet? If you could go back in time, what would you like to see? How far back would you go? Do you like Marmite? Do cats offend you? If you were to play a role in a theatre production, what would you like to play? If you can have anything right now, what would you like? What was your place of birth? Doesn't sound like Asgard to me. What was your first ever memory? How many times have you fallen asleep since you were born? What would you tell your crush if they were in front of you right now? What's your favorite weapon? If you could do something to the world, what would you do? So, very, that's not what I thought would do. Discuss the belief that great literature of the 20th century lacks protagonists who qualify as heroes. Discuss. How old are you? When was the last time that you fell over? If you were going to have another finger or another toe, which would you choose? If a Thor was standing behind you right now, ready to strike, what would you do? Are you superstitious? You believe in the supernatural? If you could make a game roll, what would you make roll? Any game. What is the longest time you've played a game for? That's not nearly long enough. If you could choose one movie to watch for the rest of your life, what would it be? If you could relive one moment in your life, what would it be? What's your favorite color? That concludes your questions amount of answers there. Some Thor answers, and some not quite so Thor answers. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. When you take these personal questions are very personal to understand what you are about, okay? How you think, what makes you tick, completely random, and everything which I would need to know from you to understand you a little bit better. And I feel like I have understood you just a little bit more than when you turned up here and you approved here involuntarily. I thought so. Okay, that's for life. Right, so remember the hierarchy of Thors here. You are a different type of variant who doesn't look like Thor, but you somewhat act a little bit like Thor, so that gives you a place here on Thor. I mean, if you were so like Thor, then you would be welcome here, because I am the Thor, and I'm the one and only Thor variant on here who actually is Thor, and everyone else has something completely different. I will the Stormbreaker, and that's why I always went for the head. Okay, so probably you didn't even get that chance right. Yeah, I thought so. No one as good as me. Right, you have passed your personal questions, so you enjoy yourself. I mean, it must be pretty tired from whatever was going on in your timeline, shall we say. There tends to be quite a lot of tired thoughts in here, so don't feel bad about that. If you want to fall asleep, then feel free. Just to watch out for that massive monster that's going around. They're not too far away as well, just randomly appears, and that's there to fight off all the Thors, but we relish a good fight, so we enjoy that. That's playtime for us. Okay, so I'll wake you up for when the fun begins, but I think that you will fit in here quite nicely. So I will let you, we'll keep you informed when I know there's another Thor variant dropping in. There's all kinds of Thors around here, every single type of Thor that you could think of, so be wary. I don't know if there's any Logis around here, mind you. There could be plenty of them. They're sort of mischievous, they lie, unloyal, always think good at heart. That's why I thought that you were a Loki. I thought you looked quite good at heart, but then you sort of come up behind me and stab me in the back. So I wanted to make sure by those personal questions that you aren't a Loki, and it went more towards the Thor side. So you are very welcome here among us. So go and enjoy yourself. Watch out for that massive monster taking me on here with you. Infinity stones, I think, are down there somewhere. There's so many scattered around. Doesn't really do much here. I'd suggest go and make yourself comfortable. This is obviously my place here. Okay, this is my city apartment, so you can't come here. These are my quarters. Go find your own and make yourself comfortable. Okay, I'll see you soon. Take care. Cheerio.